So, first of all, you want something, a Cosby show of Middle Easterners. I propose the Mosby show. Thank you. Next, yes. The name is there. Let's do it. It's done. I just need the content. Anyway, but I'd like to just go down the panel real quickly and ask just practically the people, the audience here today, you know, beyond just performers and writers and everything, what should people, like, what's something that people can do to help change, you know, this image? So Reza, like, what is a practical thing that somebody can start doing tomorrow, or what, you know, what have you? Not maybe, you know.
What is a practical thing that an average person on the street can do to change the image of Middle Easterners?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, do what, I mean, look, the America functions as, you know, a giant marketing campaign. You know, I'm asked constantly why it is that, you know, it took Catholics and Jews so little time to assimilate into American culture, and why it's, you know, more difficult for Middle Easterners. Well, partly I think it's because that we haven't really understood the power of our wallets. I mean, I'm just being totally frank here. The median income for a Muslim household in the United States is larger than for a non-Muslim household. 60% of Muslims in the United States own their own homes. They represent one of the highest levels of literacy and education of, you know, as an immigrant community of any other immigrant community in the U.S. But what we haven't figured out yet is how to turn our money into influence, and that's what it is. I mean, you just do not put up with crap anymore. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to buy your crap anymore unless you figure out a way to, you know, focus on me and my concerns and, you know, those kinds of issues. It's not just about presenting, I think, an image that is not negative. It's about making sure that, you know, our demands are met.
So there's some mobilization.
That sounded sinister, I know.
Yeah.
You will meet our demands, or else. Yeah. But that's really what it is. I mean, you know, we are a very strong economic market. And if we say, give us X, they'll give us X.
Right. So mobilize as a community in that sense.
Yeah.
Ahmed, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you. I disagree and I agree. I agree in the sense that we do need to mobilize. I've learned from my past experience that when you get a bunch of, you know, Arabs or Middle Eastern people or Muslims in one room creatively, there's almost like too many cooks in the kitchen. And nobody can agree on one thing, and they go, okay, I'm not doing this, and everybody kind of walks away, and you know, then you got to go find a white guy to fund your project. That's exactly what I did with our film. I was, you know, banging my head against the wall for many years, Maz knows, and I stumbled across this white guy in New York City who's just an entrepreneur, and I told him I was going to the Middle East, and he said, are you going to film it? And I said, no, and he said, why? I said, I don't want to put my own money up front. He said, I'll write the check yesterday, let's do it. And I thought he was joking. I was like, haha, very funny. And he's like, you got to capture this in a bottle. This is once in a lifetime kind of thing. And I said, you know, here's my account information. If you put this much money in the bank tomorrow morning, I'll believe you. Well, lo and behold, he put the money in the bank the next morning. He put his money where his mouth was, and that's how we got this done. So however we got it done, we got it done. I do think that the average person has a responsibility to dispel the stereotype. You watch the news, and whenever a Muslim guy shoots and kills somebody, they go, oh, you know, Nadal, whoever, the Muslim guy. But they never say, like, the guy who shot and killed 12 people the same day or the day before that was Christian, you know, Joe Blow, the Christian guy, they never, you know, specify the other religion unless it's a Muslim guy, which is unfortunate. But I think it is within the community to, you know, I know Maz has projects, you know, irons in the fire that he's putting together, and it's a lot of really just going back to the media. The media has painted such an awful picture of the Middle Eastern community and Muslim community, and you know, there's an old saying, you can't hate somebody with whom you've laughed. And so when you can get people to laugh with you and have the Mosby Show or have some sort of, the Middle Eastern Sanford and Son or whatever, like there has to be that like, oh, father, son, mother, daughter, like, we barbecue and we, have our family outings and, Middle Eastern people wear name brand clothes and listen to P. Diddy and Frank Sinatra and drink Pepsi and smoke cigarettes and we're about as Western as Westerners come. So I do think it is the responsibility. When you're just talking to people, sometimes I catch myself like eavesdropping on conversations when non-Middle Easterners or non-Muslims are talking about Arabs or Middle Easterners or Muslims, and I can't help myself. I want to bite my tongue, but I can't. And so you hear two people on the subway when I was in New York or in the grocery store, and they start talking about Middle Easterners as if we're some sort of, science project or some sort of like, heathen from the desert, that we're not educated, we're not cultured, we don't have a sense of humor. And I oftentimes, we'll correct somebody and say, hey, excuse me, hi, I'm Arab. And it kind of secretly throws them off because you can't walk around Southern California and not have a Middle Eastern person around you. So you go to a Middle Eastern restaurant, listen to music. So these people that are kind of walking around with this radar of Middle Easterners are a certain way, it doesn't hurt. And not to say you should start a confrontation or argument, but if somebody's talking out of line, you should say, hey, hi, like remember that you have a story that you do about your mother in the grocery store, the woman she is one who is one or whatever.
Yeah, go back to
How does it go?
Well, this happened after September 11th. My mom was at Costco shopping. She has a thick Persian accent, and she had to move the lady's cart to get to the product she was trying to get to. The lady come back, said, who moved my cart? And my mom, with her thick Persian accent, said, I did, it was in my way, I had to move it. And the lady right away said, why don't you go back to your country? And then my mom said, this is my country. And then the lady took her own car, started walking away, turned to my mom and said, bitch, to my mom. And my mom tells the story. She says, I'm a lady, we are Persian, we don't swear. So she came back with the best comeback she could think of. She said, she who says it, is it. That was my mom. My mother making a difference, as you said.
Yeah, but it's just like, it's those little tiny things, in life that go a long way. Like when we were doing Axis of Evil, after September 11th, we were booked to do a show in San Diego, California at the La Jolla Comedy Store, Maz and I. And the club owner called and said, you guys are getting death threats.
Yeah.
You might want to reschedule the show. And I said, why? Well, because the U.S. just invaded Iraq, and the show, the title turned people off, and, do you still want to do the show? And I said, of course I want to do the show. That's just basically, pandering to for somebody like myself, I just think it's a bluff. It's a smoke and mirror.
Right.
And so I called Maz and I said, they want us to cancel. Do you want to cancel? And Maz said, heck no. Let's go down there and prove them wrong.
Let's threaten them back.
So we threatened
we will find you.
Yeah, we tell them we're coming. So we're going to make them laugh. So we get down there and, it's San Diego, California. It's a predominantly white Republican crowd. 4 shows sold out back to back, and it was odd that we sold out, and they wanted to kill us first. Now they want to sell it. But they bought tickets, and the beginning of each show, everybody was kind of standing there, arms crossed, tight-lipped, looking for a reason to hate. And within a couple seconds, people were laughing. And then after the show, these people would come up to us and say, all I see is what I see on the news. You guys actually changed my mind tonight. We were getting emails from people.
There was actually Marines at that show. That was because there's a lot of Marines down there, and there were Marines that were like into it, and they really were complimentary. Because what it is I think people don't realize a lot of us are Middle Eastern American or Muslim American. We're American in many ways, and so they don't like. I did an interview for I was doing you do radio as a comedian. You do morning radio to promote the show in that specific town, and I had to call into a radio station in Philadelphia, and the DJs were like, wait a minute, we expected you to have an accent. And I was like, no. And they're like, no, I was like, what did you want me to be? Hey guys, how are you doing? This is good to be. I tell a joke tonight. Like, that's what they expected. And they're like, one of the guys was like, I'm kind of let down. He's like, can you do the accent? He was joking, but I was like, yeah, why not? I do for you,